I don't know if I've ever gone into it before, or really talked much about it, but I'm going to talk a little bit about my thoughts on young adult fiction. And what that simply means is fiction written and marketed for a younger audience that is younger than adults, but older than like children, kind of in that sweet spot between the teenage years and into early adulthood. So what do I think of it? For the most part, I'm not a fan of it. I don't read it typically. I find most of it, especially modern stuff, to be very formulaic and to be rewriting the same kind of tropes over and over with different names and different authors. And just typically speaking, I'm not a fan. However, there are exceptions, and some of my favorite novels by some of my favorite writers are, in fact, young adult fiction. And that would include things by William Slater, who I'm a big fan of, as I've talked about, and is one of my favorite science fiction writers. His whole career was writing for young adult fiction. He wrote several novels, and all of them were for younger readers, including ones that I've talked about in the past, like Other Seas, as well as Interstellar Pig, Singularity, The Duplicate, The Boy Who Reversed Himself, House Upstairs, Oddballs, Strange Attractors, and several other books that he's written, and they're all fantastic, and I do highly recommend reading them all. But why do I like Slater and not like, say, someone like, let's say, Stephanie Meyer? Well, that's simply because I think Slater actually had talent. He did write formulaic shit over and over. He had original stories with interesting ideas, with interesting characters that are likable and relatable, whereas Stephanie Meyer seems to just want to basically make formulaic, uninteresting, and in my opinion, a horribly bad influence on young readers' fiction. What Slater has and Meyer lacks is the fact he wants to one write interesting stories based around a concept that young readers may not be familiar with, and to kind of introduce them to this concept. Usually a scientific one explored through science fiction, whereas Meyer seems to want to basically make the reader a tabula rasa, a blank slate to basically kind of slide into this unrealistic expectation of, oh, what if the bad boy vampire type wants me, and I don't have to do anything to gain his affection, I don't have to be a good person, or have to do anything good for anyone. Oh, and I can also play two boys against each other for my own amusement. Oh, fuck that. I mean, I don't know. I don't like to think in terms of, like, what is fiction and young adult fiction, but if we're going to talk about YA fiction, yes, there are things I like in it. Neil Gaiman's novel Coraline would be an example. I've read this novel several times, and it's one of my favorite novels. And it's definitely written for younger readers of mine. And that's okay. I'm not saying, all fiction has to be adult and contain, explicit sex or violence or coarse language for me to enjoy them. That's ridiculous. It's just a lot of stuff written for younger readers doesn't really grab my attention. It's just simply, most of it happens to be stories or writing that just doesn't appeal to me, and that's fine. I'm not that audience. I can understand that. However, there are things written for younger readers that I do enjoy. One could even make the argument that Catcher in the Rye is a young adult novel, and in my opinion, the young adult novel. And the reason why this works, and I'll say something like the Divergent series doesn't, is because this is timeless. Holden's story appeals to us, all ages and all readers, because what he's saying is universal. It's things we've all felt and experienced. It's all things we all feel on the inside, even if we don't say. And the way it's written is timeless. It holds up. There's no stupid, clunky slang or references that don't hold up. It's just a story about a boy growing into adulthood and not liking the world he's in because of how fake it is. I think we can all relate to that. Also, another thing that's timeless and holds up really well is the Harry Potter series. Those are some of my favorite novels of all time, and they're amazing. And they're definitely in the YA canon. So I think the video I'm trying to make here points out that not good fiction doesn't have to be written explicitly for adults. It doesn't have to specifically contain things only for adults or contain adult references of blood, sex, nudity, etc. Which those things are also in young adult fiction. So I mean, a young adult novel can talk about violence or sex or whatever and be good. But it's not because it talks about those things that's good. It's because it talks about those things in a way that's meaningful, that actually has something to say, as opposed to just trying to cash in on tropes and trends that teens may find themselves interested in. And I find that just shallow writing in general. And also, there's plenty of things in the adult market that do that, and which I have no time for as well. So when I say I don't like young adult fiction, I'm not saying I don't like any young adult fiction. There are some young adult novels and writers I do enjoy. I mean it more, I don't like it in a broad sense of, I don't like most of it. But there's exceptions to everything, and there's young adult fiction that definitely falls into that. So, yes, while I may not like the majority of it, there's still young adult writing out there that I really like and can really get into. And I've read quite a bit. I've read these 3 novels themselves many times. I read Catch in the Rye, good God, more times than I've, probably read the Bible when I was religious. So, and I read Harry Potter every year growing up, and I still read it every year. So, if someone says they don't like something, including YA fiction, take into account there may be exceptions to that. And take into account that, nothing is black or white. There's always going to be gray area. So that's kind of my thoughts on young adult fiction. And I don't think I've ever really explicitly talked about my feelings on it. But that's kind of my little video kind of describing how I feel about it and why I feel this way about it. And also listing some exceptions as to what I think is good young adult fiction. So anyways, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you haven't watched my stuff before, please subscribe. I try to do videos regularly when I can, and if you're returning subscribers, thanks for staying with me all this time. Alright, appreciate it. I'll try to meet quickly with the next video. I don't know what it'll be about, but hopefully it'll be up soon. So, till then, I will catch you guys later.